I'm Stacy Grinsfelder.
And I'm Daniel Cantor.
And you're listening to True Tales from Old Houses, the minisode. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you again.
You too. Welcome back. I missed you during the part one of the last episode, but something really exciting happened in your life.
Yeah. So one of my very best friends just had her first baby, who is also my goddaughter. And she came a couple weeks early, so I dropped everything.
I want to hear all the details, but first I want to say a quick thank you to our minisode sponsors, Sutherland Wells and Noonan Heritage Craftworks.
Yes, thank you guys.
So 2 weeks early, must have been a big surprise.
It was a bit of a surprise. And poor thing, my friend stopped working on Friday, was supposed to have 2 weeks to prepare. And baby came Saturday morning.
Oh my goodness.
Well, baby started to come Saturday. Baby didn't actually come till Monday morning.
Wow.
Which was a struggle in and of itself.
An ordeal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was probably expecting that she would nest and sort of clean up and get ready for the baby. And she lost all of that time. But I know that you filled in for her. So
yeah.
Tell us more about that. Yeah. You were planning that in advance. I remember, I think we talked about that on a minisode. You were going to go and help her and you were excited about being a godfather, not the mafia kind, the kind that actually does good.
Maybe
good
both.
In the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So this to say, if I sound a little world weary on this episode, that's why, but I will try to keep my energy up. So yeah, I guess backing up a couple weeks back, I went down to Brooklyn. I live about 2 hours north of New York City, just in case that wasn't clear. I went down and prior, I do this when I go home to my parents' house too and stuff. And I'm, what do we need to work on? So I make sure I bring the right things. And she basically said, I don't know. I think just like hanging art. So I get there and we have some more work to do than just hanging art. And because I do this work professionally, it's like, you just don't hang art until the end.
When everything's perfect, you can hang art. That's funny.
And also when like the furniture is in the right place. And I think a lot of people struggle with this. They're good at identifying the thing that they like in the store, but like when it gets home, it's hard to figure out where to put it and what it is really going to function as and whatever. So we had kind of a lot of that going on. So there was a point where she needed a nap. 8.5-month pregnant woman, of course. This took all of like 15 minutes. By the time she was out, I had Post-it notes on every single wall of like, here's where this should actually live. So then we kind of did this day of just kind of moving things and getting the furniture in better positions. And now we can, so then I hung a couple pieces of art just to make everyone feel better. And then clearly this is part one of a longer process. I will be back in about a week.
Right.
So my big plan was to go back for this first week of her maternity leave, except it also ended up being the week she gave birth. So
you were expecting you'd be there before she had the baby and maybe she would sit on the couch and point finger, could we move this here and there? And she'd have time to relax. But instead, she had a baby.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
Okay.
So I get there hours after they've gotten to the hospital. They have a dog. The dog needs to be house sat and it's just me. I'm in this apartment and I have a lot of feelings. And one of them is that this is a home that suffers from just like kind of no underlying organizational systems. And so therefore it's kind of impossible to clean because there's nowhere for anything to go. And we have kind of a real mess on our hands. And, our time is up.
Right. Because baby's coming home.
Nothing's happening once this baby comes home. Like, I just know that. Nothing. We're not tackling this at any other time than kind of right now. Obviously, the ideal time to do this would have been 6 months ago, maybe. The second best time is yesterday. So it's happening. I basically, judge me all you want. I feel strongly I did the right thing. Spent 6 days, almost no sleep, just organizing and cleaning and getting this place in order.
Wow.
It was really very intense, Stacy. Luckily, I love organizing other people's stuff. Like I find it really genuinely fun. And the before and afters personally for myself were great. I did not take very many pictures at all because in my view, this was not content. This was a private thing I was taking care of. Now, of course, I'm turning it into content by talking about it on our show.
Okay, but I have a question for you, though.
Yes.
Was she in the hospital that whole time?
The whole time. Both of them were.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, that makes me worried. I hope she's okay and the baby's okay.
She is totally fine. Yes, everyone's fine.
Good, good. But all those days she was there and you were rearranging the apartment.
Right. And I don't want to be like bothering them because they clearly have enough to do. And on the bright side, and maybe I should have let it, I've known this person for nearly 20 years. She's always kept a very messy home. It is not her fault. This is a result of nobody taking any time to ever like teach her how to have a healthy house, which is a skill and something that I think most people, maybe in my generation, really don't know at all.
Why do you think that is? I'm curious. I'm Gen X, you're a millennial. I hear this a lot from people will ask me, like, how did you know how to do that? How did you know? And I don't know how I know. I don't remember exactly being taught, but certain things were just part of our lives.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of answers to that. I think one answer is this is a generations long issue in this country of just no emphasis being put on how you manage your stuff, how to make decisions about what should be kept or not kept. I think some of that goes back to, so for my generation, it's generally would be our grandparents who grew up in the Depression.
Right.
You didn't get rid of anything in the Depression.
No.
Then they had their kids, the boomers. The boomers learned from them. You're scrappy, you keep things. Then the 80s come and everybody, it's all about consumerism. So we're disposing of more stuff and buying more kind of garbage. And this is sort of at odds with how that generation was raised by their boomer parents. And so we have that whole moment. Now we're in kind of this environmental moment of waste not, want not. And I think you can sort of see how one thing leads into another to result in a generation that really just has no idea how to manage their items. Added to that, obviously, it is super easy to just order tons of stuff on Amazon and have it constantly arriving at your home. And
right.
So it really takes work to like manage a household. And then on kind of the other end of just like cleaning stuff, like I think we all have some level of knowledge of how like cleaning works. But first of all, I think cleaning is too vague of a term to really suffice for anything. I think they're sort of tidying up and like sanitizing.
Right. Good points. Yeah. You clean differently when you have the flu versus when you're just putting things away to, yeah, interesting.
Right. Or when putting things away is a really small part of cleaning broadly, then it opens up the opportunity for you to do things like mop and scrub the toilets and, wipe down the sinks and whatever.
Yeah.
I've been in many people's houses at this point. That kind of stuff doesn't happen when the vast majority of your time is going to be spent just trying to find places for things.
Right.
So in any event, I took some real liberty. I mean, just to give you a sense of it. So I did actually look this up. The iPhone only counts your steps when the phone is like on your person, in your hand, in your pocket, whatever. I classically walk around with AirPods. I leave my phone on the counter. I leave it on the charger, whatever. So in the 24 hours before they got home, my phone clocked, and just while it was on my actual body, which is rare, over 20,000 steps, just walking back and forth through their garden level Brooklyn brownstone apartment. Like
you were just in the apartment. This wasn't you leaving to go out and get stuff and come back.
Not really, no. And when I did leave, I discovered, thank God I discovered, first day, there is a 99-cent store about a block from their apartment, and it is my favorite store on earth. They have so much stuff packed in. I measured the aisles are 22 inches wide because it's Brooklyn. Everything is just packed in, but it is a hardware store. They have everything. And so I was going there. This is a 99-cent store, mind you. I spent probably close to $1,000 just on clear plastic bins, essentially.
Oh my goodness.
Because there was just nothing to work with, like truly.
It was very, very environmental of you.
Listen.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so they're gone for 5 days. You've rearranged their apartment.
I've done quite a lot.
How do they feel about that? I mean, are they still texting you like, where do we keep the wooden spoons now? I mean, when you...
Yes, there's some of that. So I will say this was a big move. I knew it was a big move. I knew it could go badly. I also truly just felt like this is what needs to happen. Consequences be damned. So they got home. Things are different. They are very grateful, very happy, very exhausted. This is not the time for a reality TV moment of a big reveal and welcome to your new home.
Right.
It's not happening.
They just want
have a brand
nap.
new baby.
Yeah.
Then I left. I had been there longer than I expected to. My dog had been staying with somebody else. That ran out. I had to have both dogs there. Luckily, everything was fine, but it was just too much. We're done. So I leave. And then a few hours later, the texts start.
Oh,
And
no.
the texts are people who are very stressed and very tired.
Oh, no.
And I'm so glad that we are so close because it's hard, like,
Yeah.
luckily we got through that. And by the next morning, I think they were able to sort of see in the light of day, number one, how great their place looked. And number two, that this was not, and I repeat, not Daniel just going around and being like, this would look better here. Like was not the game at all. The game was, we're creating some infrastructure for you to be able to live with and have a healthier home as a result of. And so, sure, I moved your bookcase and stuff, but there was also a little bit of intention there of, I do kind of want this place to look different enough that they can see it with new eyes and appreciate like their things a little bit more just differently. I think that mental reset like is helpful. But again, this is just an absolutely insane plan, an insane thing to be doing at this moment. But again, it's now or never. So
And their whole life is different. So maybe they were, looking for a little bit of continuity. And then when all of that was different too. But yeah, I mean, I'll be crossing my fingers that they'll see it in the way that you see it and that it will be helpful. I mean, they just want to enjoy their baby. Exactly. They don't know that yet, but I'm telling them what they want. They just want to enjoy their baby.
And it's already happened, which I was very relieved by, which was kind of by the next morning, they were like, okay, there are some things that you did that we like legitimately don't like. However, we like totally understand why you did them. They make sense. It looks better. It's just not really how we live. That is fine. There is absolutely no way I'm going to organize every single thing you own and get it correct every single time, But moreover, they were kind of like, this really is great. There's a few things we need to resolve, but like, this is great. The things that we need to resolve need to be resolved like now. So I'm like, okay.
So friendship intact is what I'm hearing.
Friendship intact.
Good.
Everybody feeling reasonably good about stuff. And however, I felt like I was already planning to go back in, I don't know, a week or 10 days. The things that were issues for them were not terribly difficult to just change right back or whatever, but were very stressful for them to think about. I forget that for most people, like once you put a piece of furniture in a room, it's as though it's permanently affixed to that spot and like can never move, but I just shuffle things around like for funsies. Anyway, long story short, I get back in the car and go back down to Brooklyn and spend that evening and the next day basically moving stuff, not even really back to where it was, but just moving more stuff.
Yeah.
And
what felt right for them, where they felt like they had some control over the situation too.
Yeah. And trying to help them work through a couple of kind of categories of things that would be quickly stressful, such as like, I don't really know what belongs in your clothing dresser. I did my best, but like, if you're looking for a specific piece of clothing, why don't we just do this now so that that's not an issue over the next week or whatever? Because this is part one of a 2-part process. And the other part could have happened kind of contemporaneously. However, they weren't there. So I don't have kind of the decision-making authority to be like, this is trash. So unless it was truly, absolutely like objectively trash, it got stored. And now they have to purge, which I think they'll actually be totally fine at now that all of the things like that thing are all in one place.
If you have a bin, you just have to pull out a bin and it has 35 pairs of socks and you look at them and think, I don't need 10 of those or whatever. Then they're all there. You don't have to make that decision finding socks in lots of different places, that kind of thing. So I could see how that could be really helpful.
I think it will be hugely helpful to part 2, which they are excited to do. I really think this is great. I mean, I think without kind of speaking out of turn and too personally, like this is a friend who has struggled with this exact thing as long as I've known her, almost 20 years. And it's really clear to me that there have been some past attempts to kind of help, but they've just been gone about in totally the wrong way. And it's sort of nobody's fault. We understand all kinds of things today that we didn't understand 10, 20 years ago. But ultimately, this is a lack of skills issue. This is not a lazy person. This is not a avoidant person generally. And so we can work on that. We can build some skills. And I feel like in the 17 years since I left my parents' house, I've built some skills.
It sounds like all of this could be really helpful to other people too. I mean, have you thought about expanding this? Or, I mean, where are you going from here?
Well, so as I was doing it until doo-doo hit the fan. But now it's fine. So I don't know. I'm like, well, this is my new business. I mean, this is the time of my life. Like, I am just having a blast. Then the thought hit me. It was funny because it just kept extending a day. So it's not like I started knowing I had 6 days. I thought I maybe had 24 hours.
Right.
So the project kept getting a little more elaborate. So by the end, I have like my suggested donation bin where it's like, I'm not getting rid of any of your stuff, but I am saying like, you do not need this set of wine glasses. Your other one is so much nicer. That kind of thing.
I see. Okay. All right.
But through that, I also was like, some of this stuff needs to be like written down because it's a lot to like basically learn how to like keep a home like overnight. So then I thought, okay, when I get home, I'll write them like a little kind of pamphlet of like homekeeping manual.
SOPs, we called them when I worked for my brief government job, standard operating procedure. It was a book of SOPs. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think this can be accomplished in, 5 pages. I don't know why I don't know myself better at this point because I sit down to write and before I know it, I have 13,000 words written. We have chapters. We have general terminology. We have so much.
Are you writing a book?
I think I might be writing a book.
Daniel, this is fantastic.
It's not the book I expected to write, but it's really kind of pouring right out. And I'm just like, God, this is fun. So,
oh, I love this. Okay, I want to know more about it, but we do have to take a quick break.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. I want to find out about this potential new book that I know I'm going to be dying to read.
Okay.
True Tales from Old Houses is supported by Sutherland Wells. All of Sutherland Wells products are handcrafted in Providence, Rhode Island, with the highest quality, sustainably grown tung oil. Tung oil, which is native to China, has been used for centuries as a durable finish for wood, metal, and stone.
Polyurethane is just a clear plastic coating that sits on top of the wood, but tung oil finish is totally different. It penetrates the surface of the wood, so it actually flexes and contracts as the conditions change. That makes it the perfect pre-finish or protectant for everything from fine furniture to window sash and sills.
I've used so many of their different products, Millie's, Murdoch's, Slicky Wicky, but whatever you're working on, maybe it's siding, hardwood floors, furniture restoration, cutting boards, you name it, Sutherland Wells has a product for it.
To learn more about the complete product line, visit Sutherland Wells, that's WELLES, SutherlandWells.com. And to save 10% on your first order, use the coupon code TRUETALES.
True Tales from Old Houses is also supported by Noonan Heritage Craftworks. You may know Joseph Parenti from Instagram for his work with historic exteriors in the Pittsburgh area. He's now extending his offerings to homeowners across the United States with Noonan Heritage Craftworks.
Stacy, we all know that finding the right help to restore and maintain your old house can be a huge challenge. Things like, where do you even start? What materials and methods should you use? Who can you trust in this world? Joseph is here to help you answer those questions.
You could schedule a phone call, a video conference, or an email consultation with Joseph to talk through your exterior project and help you game plan. So whether you need to prepare a scope of work or a second set of eyes to help compare estimates, maybe even figuring out the right questions to ask vendors, Joseph can provide unbiased guidance to help you steer clear of pitfalls and ensure success.
To learn how Noonan Heritage Craftworks can work with you, please visit our special landing page at Noonan Craftworks. That's NOONAN, NoonanCraftworks.com/truetales.
We're back.
Hello, we're back.
I realized I forgot to ask you a very important question.
Oh.
Was this baby a boy or girl?
This baby is a girl, Hazel.
Aww.
She was born, I think, about 5.5 pounds.
I was going to ask you if she was tiny coming early.
She was pretty little. And my friend is all of 4 feet, 8 inches tall.
Okay.
So little baby.
Little mama, little baby. Yeah.
Yeah, it is just absolutely wild.
Did you get to hold her?
I did. I got to feed her from a bottle of 5-day-old baby. Do you know how stressful? I mean, you do know how stressful that is, but I found it very stressful.
Yeah, no, that's so special. And you'll go back in a couple weeks or 3 weeks and you'll hold that baby and you'll just be shocked at how big she is. They grow so fast.
I know. It's like their only job at that age, just grow.
So getting back to this potential book that you're writing. So I'm really curious, like what is, and this is maybe the cart before the horse because you're in the in the beginning stages.
No, we're workshopping.
Yeah, we're workshopping.
Live on air.
What makes it different? I mean, there are sort of books out there about organization and about cleaning and such. So, I mean, I have no doubt you're going to make something really special because you do see things differently. You'll be the kind of person that'll offer something that people will take and say, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Like I didn't even know that I needed that, versus just kind of random information. But what do you see differently?
I think part of what I see differently is this friend of mine has ADHD. I can't remember if I already mentioned that more than once.
I don't think so. No, that's new. Yeah, I think that's new.
That's something that I've dealt with in my life as well. And I think it does take sort of a specific set of
accommodations, would you say, or special ways to handle things that work with your brain, or no?
Yeah, special ways to handle things. And I think special ways to kind of understand things.
Okay.
I think we're used to just looking at mess and being like, that person's a slob. And like, I think that is so rarely the case. So what I've tried to do is kind of a lot of things apparently, but one of my favorite sections so far, separate is in the general terminology, and it separates out what I'm calling cluttered homes versus messy homes versus homes that are a mess. And what I like to think is I have kind of a messy home. My home is often kind of messy. That being said, I don't think my home is a mess because I have all of these underlying organizational systems. So yes, my ADHD side is like, I'm never going to put that thing away as soon as I use it because like, I'm going to come back to it, or I'm too tired, or I'm way too much of a hurry to actually like take the time to put it back in the drawer. What I can do is take 5 minutes later and just do a reset of the space. And then in about 5 minutes, my bedroom is everything's clean.
Okay. So when push comes to shove, you're saying it does have a place to go. Like your ADHD maybe doesn't make you do it immediately, but when it's time, it has a place to go. So therefore, everything can be brought back to tidiness.
Right.
Wow,
right.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people, especially who have dealt with ADHD and, the home environment that it often creates, don't have a great sense of when things are actually like cluttered or just messy. And like messy, we can deal with easily. Clutter is kind of a different game, but they look the same from the outside. So it was actually interesting the night that they got home. One of the things that she texted me was like, I mean, it looked great. And now it's all cluttered again.
Oh, I see.
And we hadn't had this conversation yet. But my point is, no, it wasn't. It was messy. And messy, a 10-minute clean sweep of that space, it would have looked exactly like when you got home.
Interesting.
Granted, 2 minutes later, something would be out of place again because you are a human being and you use things. And, that's how life, like all it all really boils down to is like, we do stuff and then we clean up after the stuff so that we can do more stuff. Like that's how we operate. So I think kind of letting go of this idea that unless you walk into your house and everything kind of looks perfect, it's a mess. It's super unproductive and is what I think leads people to just kind of be like, I just can't handle. And then they give up on the whole endeavor. And then your house truly is a disaster.
Right. Including dirty. After a while, it just frankly gets dirty. Yeah.
Including dirty. Exactly. Yeah. Like that's sort of the hard truth. You just cannot live in a place that has no organizational systems in place and expect to also have a sanitary environment. Like that's just the hard truth is like, if you can't get to that area to vacuum, it's not getting vacuumed and then it's not clean. And then you have stuff in your air that you shouldn't have and all of that.
Interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops. I hope we can talk about it in the coming weeks.
Thank you. I feel really good about it.
Yeah. I hope that it sounds like this whole book is just sort of flowing out of you. And I am wishing you the same amount of ease moving forward, because that's such a good feeling to be in the writing flow.
I'm like totally unqualified. I did actually, it was funny because I've, gone through everything they own. They had a book on their bookcase called Organizing Solutions for ADHD People.
Oh, wow.
There was something like that was the title. And it was unread pretty clearly. So.
Well, they couldn't find it. What are you talking about?
I did just take it home with me because I'm like, maybe I should crack this before writing my own entire book about it. And then I just haven't. I'm like, I'll get the influence later. But right now I'm like, this is what makes sense for me. And I think what will make sense for this person who I've known forever and have really wanted to help her with this over the years. But it's hard to broach the subject. It's hard to overcome years that this didn't work because they were going about it wrong. And,
Maybe you went through it with a little bit of brute force that you might
absolutely.
not have chosen to do
I'll own it.
in another situation.
It was far less than ideal.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it worked out, and I'm excited that you are officially a godfather. And there's a new little baby in the world. That's exciting.
I know. It's a really exciting thing, and it's a really weird thing to sort of mentally adjust to. Like, I didn't have a baby, but that's kind of the closest it might ever get, let's be honest. And this is a little person who is going to be in my life for a really long time. Like,
yeah,
maybe till I kick the bucket.
It's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. And I'm excited to get to know her.
Yeah, that's great.
So, my word, that was a lot.
It was good. All good stuff.
Tell me something else, please. What's going on at your house?
Well, I guess I'm somewhat going through the same thing that you've just gone through and at your friend's place, because I'm getting this house ready to sell. And to be quite frank, I am overwhelmed. There were a lot of, 95% projects around here, as happens. And I honestly have just been deluding myself thinking, I've got a few weeks. And I would consider myself neurotypical. I don't know if other people would, but I don't struggle with something like ADHD. But I do have an inflated sense of what I can accomplish in a certain amount of time. And I think that's my good Midwest saying, my chickens are coming to roost, because now I'm looking around at all of the things that need to be done and I'm feeling really overwhelmed. So I texted my son this morning, and I felt really bad because he lives a few hours away and he has a full-time job. And I said, is there any way that you could come home for just a couple days? I said, I'm trying to get the house ready and I could just use an extra set of hands. And he said yes, because he is a good person.
Good.
And I think he's going to come help. Yeah, because I've been focusing all on the interior, but now that the weather's nice, it's time to start doing stuff on the exterior. And it's snowballing. Those projects just keep coming at me. I keep thinking, I've made progress. And then boom, here's another something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, all I can say is that I'm overwhelmed. But I think what I'm going to do is to rent a pod, those pods that you can get, and they just deliver them in your driveway. And I think the plan is to get one pod and start moving things into that pod, getting them sort of out of the way. I want to leave it furnished while I'm showing it, because it's a big house and I think people kind of need to see where furniture fits. I think that'll be helpful for people. But I do need to get a lot of stuff out as well. And I think it will make me feel better, speaking of clutter, if there are fewer things around to clean around or fix around or whatnot. I was talking to my friend about the pod, and he said, yeah, that'd be great, because then we can help you too. Like maybe we could come over one day and take things out to the pod. At this point, Andy's been saying, can we hire someone, or can we get someone to help you? He's totally willing to help, but he lives in Salt Lake City. So that's a separate issue. And I'm like, I can't just call somebody, because they're either not going to be good at what they do in this capacity, or maybe they can't come now for 6 weeks. And this is a now situation, not a 6 weeks from now situation. But I did hire a company called Talus Historic Restoration, great company out of Medina. I think they're a little bit, maybe halfway between Buffalo and Rochester. And they are stripping some of my windows, because I wanted to have the upstairs windows, for the most part, fully restored. They were the ones that were really bad, like chipping paint and, lead paint chips all over the place. And I really wanted to get that taken care of. So they are taking care of that in my bedroom windows. And I'll do the finish, because I can do that really easily, the paint and glazing. But to get them stripped, they're helping me out with that.
Nice.
But right now it's a little chaotic.
Are these decisions guided by, I know like it's pretty normal for brokers to come in and be like, you should do this and this and that. Like, is that what's happening, or is this a self-guided journey?
It's a self-guided. Yeah. I've created this own monster for myself. But no, I feel like there are a lot of things that a realtor would tell me to do. But I really am considering just doing a private sale. I've had a few people that want to see the house. So that's kind of the plan. I have a really great real estate lawyer involved. And so if that doesn't happen, then I will hire a realtor. I also have a great realtor that I can hire. I really love her. She's going to do a great job. But I would prefer to do just a private sale at this point.
Wow.
I know.
Brave.
Well, I wouldn't consider it if I didn't have a real estate lawyer. So that's a New York thing, sort of a distinctly New York thing where you have real estate lawyers.
Yeah, don't freak out if you're in Pennsylvania.
No, or the desert of New Mexico, right?
Right. In that case, all you need is a Cash App.
Oh, yeah. All bets are off. You don't need anything. But yeah, in New York, you need a lawyer. And so that lawyer can draw up contracts and do all the important things. You know, a realtor does more than that, but the lawyer is probably, if you're doing a private sale, that's a real important thing to have.
Yeah, it seems to me in New York, like the major benefit of the agent is marketing, essentially.
Yeah.
Not to devalue their work in any way, but...
And they coordinate things like inspections and they help you find people to fix things. And, you know, there's lots of really good things that they do. If it comes to that, then I won't hesitate because I do have someone that I can call. But yeah, from a marketing perspective, I think we might be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll see.
And then is the idea of the pod that like you move the pod across the country and all of your things are in the pod, or like is the pod part one? How much stuff are we taking with us?
I was going to say at this point, the pod is the end game because we'll stay in the apartment. We don't have a house, so I can't really take the pod and unload it at a new place because there won't be room for that. My idea is that I'm going to put a lot of the stuff that I have that I know I want to keep in storage in the pod. Any leftovers, maybe furniture and stuff, I don't think we'd have enough for 2 pods. If we do, I feel like that's just too much stuff. But the second thing would be maybe I would have a small moving truck that I would move to Salt Lake City, just drive that with the things that I know I don't want to put in storage. So at this point, it's a little fluid. My plan is a little fluid, but I do think the pod is a good idea. We can't afford a moving company to come in and pack everything up and move it for us. And I don't think physically I'm up to even having people move it all in one big truck. You know, I don't really think I want to drive a giant moving truck across.
You don't want to drive a 18-wheeler cross country.
No, but I have driven. I've pulled a trailer. I've driven a moving truck. I've driven an RV. So it's not the actual that bothers me, but you know, too big is too big.
Oh, it's hard to park at a Motel 8 or whatever. Yeah. I understand this.
Yeah, I didn't ever tell you this. It's kind of late in the episode to be getting into a story, but I'll just drop a little teaser. When we moved from California to New York, we rented an RV, a one-way RV, because I'd always wanted to take an RV trip. But because we were taking it one way, they gave us the worst RV possible. It was a mess, but it was just RV families are usually, you know, 2 people and a small pet. And we were 2 parents, 4 kids, a giant Labrador retriever, and we had 3 glass terrariums full of lizards. That was our moving across the country.
Oh boy, I forgot about the lizards.
The lizards, yeah. Maybe I did tell that story before.
The dragons.
Yes, the bearded dragon. Mm-hmm.
Are bearded dragons technically lizards?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good.
As opposed to what? Like
I don't know.
Oh, no. They're definitely lizards.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a little late.
I don't know.
It's a little late in the episode for us to get into the science portion of the show.
Right. You know, like rabbits aren't rodents, for instance.
Well, they're not.
But like you would think they are.
Really?
I feel like most people would think a rabbit is a rodent.
Oh, okay.
Well, again, we can save this for off air.
Okay.
Real quick, like what makes a bad RV?
Well, a bad RV is where you blow a spark plug 30 minutes outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, which is something that really happens mostly to race cars. You know, if that tells you how hard an engine's working to pop a spark plug. Also, whenever we would get ready to go, we'd have to tape some of the kitchen cabinets closed with. Oh, good. And we had to stop at a Walmart and buy a little ratchet set because the rear view mirror just kept flopping over, like the vibration from the road made our rear view mirror tip over, and we had to tighten that up. So we kind of had a protocol every day where we'd get up, and we didn't really use the bathrooms. We would park at RV parks with showers and bathrooms. So we didn't have to do anything really with the sewer, thank goodness. But it was a kind of a complex thing of like securing the terrariums and taping the doors shut and securing the mirrors. Yeah.
Well, I love that you did it.
Oh, I do too. It was a great memory. I mean, the kids were pretty upset and pretty mad during part of it.
Yeah, but they'll never forget it.
No, now we all have something to laugh about. And here we are in New York. And now I'm getting ready to drive all the way back across the country. If I'd only known.
Well, I can't wait to hear all about it. Maybe I'll join you.
Yeah.
Maybe you can drop me off in New Mexico.
Let's do it. Let's absolutely do it.
At my land. Which, by the way, I know my mom listens to this podcast, but I don't think she either listened to that episode or listened to the... Anyway, I think she's still fully unaware that I own 4 acres of desert. It's my favorite secret.
So, Ricky, if you get to this part during the episode, your son owns desert land now, and he is welcoming all of us there with our tents or yurts or Airstream trailers.
Yeah, she couldn't be less interested, but I thought you would like to know that because we spoke for like an hour the other day and she didn't bring it up once. So I'm like, she doesn't know.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. All right. Well, we're out of time today, but I want to let everyone know that next week we have a really fun episode. Daniel, you missed this interview, and I know that you're crushed about it because we finally have someone on to talk about their Lustron house. And it was a great conversation. I'm excited to share it.
I'm totally jealous, but I'm also totally excited to hear it. And I'm sure you did a wonderful job.
It'll be a big surprise for you too. So don't miss that episode next week. And thank you for listening to True Tales from Old Houses. Until next time.
See you next week.